In today's video, I'm making some of my favorite Greek recipes, but with a Kiki twist. And if you want to learn how to make your own souvlaki at home, make sure you stick till the end, as I'll be sharing my secrets on how to make Greece's most popular dish. If you've ever visited Greece and stumbled upon a bakery, you would have been greeted with lots and lots of pie, so today I'm making a quick tiropita with feta, aka a cheese pie. To make it, I started by making my pie filling, so I grabbed a big bowl and cracked a few eggs in it. I whisked them well, and then it's time for the cheese. I'm doing a blend of Gouda and feta, so I added my Gouda that I had grated and some feta that I'm crumbling up with my hands. To make the mixture a bit more creamy, I'm also adding some Greek yogurt. I added some olive oil seasoned with salt and pepper and then gave it a good mix, so everything is incorporated well. And now the filling is ready, so I added some olive oil to my pan and spread it evenly so the pie doesn't stick to the pan. I then grabbed my packet of filo and unfolded it on my working space. And now to make the pita, I added a drizzle of olive oil to the filo and then adding some of the filling across the side. I then rolled each filo, tucking in the side so the filling doesn't escape. I then placed my filo on the pan. If you're enjoying this video so far, by the way, and would like to see more recipes that taste like the sunshine, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future Mediterranean recipes. Okay, back to the recipe. I continue doing the same process for the rest of my filo until I ran out of the filling. And before I put my pita in the oven, I'm making a quick mixture to go on top, so to a little bowl I added an egg, some milk, a bit of olive oil and salt and pepper. I gave it a good whisk and then poured the mixture on top of my pita. I also shook the pan a bit to make sure the milk mixture goes everywhere and then topped with some sesame seeds. I baked in a preheated oven for about 35 minutes and my tiropita was ready. This was definitely a lazy version of a tiropita as it took no time to put together, and with a ready-made filo it's very beginner friendly. I served some on my plate and enjoyed it as my breakfast. And of course I also had some fruit on the side as I can't start my day without fruit, and yes, I'm still obsessed with nectarines, I can't get enough of them. I'm so excited. I don't think I've ever been this excited for food before. That's a lie, but you know what I mean. It's almost 11 o'clock. It was a busy day, so I'm only getting to breakfast, so you can imagine my hunger. I've already had my nectarine because I was just way too hungry. But finally it's time for my pita and it smells delicious. And I have to go with my hand because it is a tiropita after all. It is so good. So yummy. And usually a lot of tiropitas don't have a lot of feta, so there's a mixture of cheeses and stuff, but this has, yeah, a lot of feta, so you can have that nice tangy flavor. It's so good. It reminds me a bit of floyera that you get in Greek taverns and stuff, so this is so good. I think it needs some orange juice, and thankfully Dad just got me this yesterday, freshly squeezed orange juice, so I'm gonna have a glass of this. With this, I'm hoping this is tangy because that's my favorite kind of orange juice, so let's have another bite. It's so good. It's so yummy. Also very, very fast to make. If you don't make your own filo, things are so much easier. Obviously I love making my own filo, but sometimes when you want to do tiropita and you don't have a lot of time, having pre-made filo is just such a good solution. And this one was just such a quick and easy recipe. Even if you have guests coming over and you want something nice to treat them to, I would make this because it was 35 minutes in the oven and the whole process didn't take that long to put together. And I'll definitely make it with other fillings as well. Like I'm already thinking like pumpkin, like a savory one or a sweet. Oh, so many possibilities, but yeah, this one is a winner. Yummas. It's tangy, I like it, but not too much, so I like it. For lunch we're making Papoutsakia, which I would describe as a simplified version of a moussaka. So it's perfect when you want the flavors of moussaka but don't have the time to make the whole thing. To make it I started by prepping my aubergines. I washed them and then cut them in half. I then did a zigzag design with my knife so they can roast well. I put them on a baking pan lined with baking paper, added some olive oil and seasoned with salt and pepper.
I then turned them around and put a bit more olive oil, as aubergines need lots of olive oil to roast well and not get like a sponge-like texture. I continued prepping the rest of my aubergines and then seasoned them all with salt and pepper and put lots of olive oil. I then put them in a preheated oven to bake until they were fully cooked. And while my aubergines are baking, I'm making my mince sauce. I started by cutting an onion in medium-sized pieces, and you know I can't chop finely, so I'm just adding it to my food chopper and blitzing it a couple of times, and then I have perfectly chopped onions. I added some olive oil to my saucepan, let it heat up, and then added my onion. I seasoned with salt and pepper and let them cook for a few minutes. I then added some garlic that I pressed with my garlic press. I added my minced meat. I did about 500 grams here and let the meat brown for a few minutes, stirring occasionally so it can cook evenly. I then added a couple of cans of chopped tomatoes, a cinnamon stick and a couple of bay leaves. I also added a bit of sugar to offset the tanginess of the tomato. I gave it a final stir and let it simmer on medium heat. I then moved on to making the bechamel, so to a separate saucepan I added some butter and olive oil. I then added the flour and stirred with my whisk. I then added the milk and stirring it until it gets thicker. And now my aubergines were ready, so I took them out of the oven and turned them around so they're ready to be filled with the mince sauce.
Okay, let's taste test the mince. It smells amazing. I don't think it needs anything. Maybe a bit more pepper. I'll add a bit more pepper because I like things quite peppery. And bechamel is about to be done. I keep stirring it because it's just almost ready, so can't stop. Let's finish this off.
Once the bechamel was thicker, I seasoned with salt and pepper and added the final bit of milk. I also added a bit of cheese, whisked it, and then finally some nutmeg, as I love the smell and taste it gives to the bechamel. And now we're ready to fill the aubergines, so I just squished them down a bit to make a bit more space for them to be filled, and then added spoonfuls of the mince sauce. Once all the aubergines were filled with the mince, I added the bechamel on top. And you can do a thick layer of bechamel or a light one. I went kind of in the middle, but you can adjust this based on your preference. I then finished with a sprinkle of cheese on top. I put it back in the oven to bake until the top is nice and golden. For me, that was about 20 minutes. And now onto serving. I added some rocket on my plate and then added 2 aubergine halves. And lunch is ready. So yummy and so easy to make.
It's finally lunchtime. I can't wait. It smells delicious and looks amazing, if I say so myself. I'm hoping it's not too hot because I don't want to burn myself. This is so good. I can't believe I've never made this. It's so good. The aubergine is nice and soft and the mince is delicious, and I just love anything with bechamel. Just anything with bechamel makes it so much more creamy, and it's not even that much, but it's just adding a bit of flavor and creaminess and just a bit of extra something. It's just a winner, this one. And I thought I was gonna miss potatoes when I was making it. I was like, shall I put potatoes all around it, because you know me, I can't live without potatoes. But it's actually not missing the potato element, because it is, if you think about it, like a moussaka, just deconstructed, or like a different version of a moussaka minus the potatoes. Yeah, so I'm very surprised. This is so good. I'm gonna go enjoy. And then I've made a very exciting dessert, so I can't wait for dessert after this. Make this. You won't be sorry. It's so good. Oh my god, it's so good. Can't believe I've never made this. Oh, so heavy. And I don't know about you, but I get random cravings and random food thoughts that come up, and I'm like, I must make this. So this was one of those where I just woke up, or rather, I was trying to figure out what to make for this video, and I was like, Papoutsakia. Never made it, don't know what it is, but now I know, and I'll add it to my usuals, my repertoire. I think that's the word.
After lunch, my sweet tooth always kicks in, and today I decided to make some homemade bounty bars, as even though I wouldn't call them a traditional Greek recipe, they are my mom's favorite chocolate and one of my favorites too.
I haven't used condensed milk since I was like 12 or something, and I haven't tasted it. And I remember it tasting amazing, so I can't resist. I have to have a tiny bit to try. Oh, it's so good. So sugary. Went straight into my head, that sugar, but it's so good. I have to have a bit more.
To make the bounty filling, I simply added a can of condensed milk in a bowl and some shredded coconut. I gave it a good mix to make sure the ingredients are fully incorporated. I then shaped little bar-like shapes and placed them on some baking paper. I put them in the freezer to set for a bit while I melt my chocolate. To melt the chocolate, I simply add a bowl in a saucepan with water and add my chocolate in to melt. And once my chocolate was melted, I took my bars out of the freezer and dipped each one into the chocolate bowl. I then added it back to the baking paper so the chocolate can set. I continued doing the same for the rest of my bars and then realized they were setting much quicker than I thought, so I sprinkled some coconut on top so it can stick to the chocolate while it's warm. I finished making the rest, and after they had a bit of time in the fridge to set, I then placed them in a glass container ready for the week ahead.
Dessert time, and I can't wait. Let me know in the comments if you like Bounty. I've heard so many people, I mean not so many, but yeah, I've heard many people say that they hate Bounty, and when there's like a celebrations, they're always like, oh, the Bounty is the worst. I'm like, the Bounty is the best. I decided to make this because my parents are visiting, and Bounty is my mom's favorite like chocolate. When I was growing up, obviously I was introduced and I loved it as well. And I just love anything coconuts. I just made up the recipe. I'm not sure how it's gonna taste, but I have high expectations because it looks like a Bounty. So let's try and let's see what we've done. I like it. The inside is a bit more soft. I don't know if it needs just a bit more time to set, or if I should have put a bit more coconut, shredded coconut. I think it's probably the latter, so I think I'll make them again and I'll put a bit more coconut, but they're so tasty and they're just this perfect amount of sweetness. I am happy. It's so good. I love coconut. Let me show you a close-up. Have to have another one.
And dinner time today, I'm making one of my favorites and probably one of the most famous Greek recipes, chicken souvlaki wrap. And I'll be sharing how to make your own souvlaki sauce, which takes this recipe to the next level. To make the chicken gyros, I added some olive oil to my pan and added some chicken that I cut in small pieces. I seasoned with salt and pepper and gave the chicken a stir. For seasoning, I'm using paprika, thyme and garlic powder, as I found that combo is the best for souvlaki. So I added all the spices in, and then for that depth of flavor, I'm also adding a couple of tablespoons of soy sauce. I gave the mixture a good stir so all the seasoning can get evenly distributed, and let it cook until the chicken is cooked through. And while the chicken is cooking, I'm making my souvlaki sauce, so to a little bowl I added some mayonnaise, American mustard and ketchup. And some paprika. And the beauty of this sauce is you can adjust it based on your liking. I usually go by color and see how it looks, as that can give a good indication if it needs more ketchup or mustard. For my souvlaki fillings, I'm keeping it simple today, so I'm chopping up some tomatoes, and since it's a chicken souvlaki, of course I'm having some lettuce too. And now my chicken is ready, so I'm just warming up my pitas before I assemble my wraps. To warm them, I added some olive oil to my pan and added my pita to warm through for a few minutes on each side, flipping occasionally. And now onto assembling, I added my pita on my plate and added some sauce on it. I then added a few spoonfuls of the chicken, the lettuce and the tomato. I then did my best to wrap it, which I always find so tricky. Let me know if you have any tips on how to wrap your souvlaki, by the way. I ended up using a little bit of foil around it, which seemed to keep the wrap in place. I then made my second souvlaki, as of course I'm having 2 for my dinner. Let me know how many you have. I know in the UK when you get them from out, they are super big, so 1 seems enough, but if you make them at home with the normal size pitas, I feel like I always need 2. Anyways, I served both on my plate and my very Greek dinner was ready. So good, so simple to make at home and so delicious.
I'm I'm so excited for this. It's almost 8 o'clock and I'm ready for some souvlaki. I'm so glad I decided to make sauce instead of tzatziki, because I always forget I can actually make my own sauce now. And when you get a souvlaki in Greece, if it's chicken gyros or chicken skewer, you get it with a sauce instead of tzatziki, and it's so good, that sauce. And it's so easy to make at home. Just have to go back for more. Need both hands. Perfect. It's so good. I think a few things that really make a difference is warming up the pita with a bit of olive oil, because that's what they do when you get it from out, unless you ask for a no oil pita, but it just gives it that extra bit of flavor and just crispiness. It's so good. And then the chicken, if you do chicken thigh, that will be even more juicy and like even more closer to gyros. But I had chicken breast today and it still tastes delicious, and it's high in protein, so I know it's gonna keep me full. It's just so good. And that sauce, I'm sorry I said it already, but that sauce makes it so good. And if you're wondering where I get my Greek pitas, you can actually order them on Amazon and they come frozen, and it's the same brand I used to get in Greece, so they are proper Greek pitas. Because I've tried pretty much all Greek flatbreads, all Greek pitas, and nothing tastes like these ones, like the proper Greek ones. So I'll see if I can leave a link down below. It is from Amazon Fresh, but hopefully I can leave a link down below, because you need these pitas in your life. I'm gonna go sit down so I don't make more mess. But it's so good, like I'm in Greece. Perfection. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see a full week of breakfast ideas, you can check out this video, and I'll see you on the next one.